Recently, we had a question come into the group regarding rendering of pages on a report. And the scenario that the user had was that there were 3 pages in a report that was still in the process of development. The first 2 pages were ready to go live. The third, they did not want to display when the report ran. So the way that a person can do this is by creating a variable that is used to define the render variable for the page in question. This must be done in Report Studio. So we'll start by going there. In most cases, you will be selecting ECW eBO, as that is commonly the most recent version of eBO published by ECW. We are going to allow access so that we have the capability of copy and paste if needed. And we'll create a new report. The user that posted the question already has the report created. If you already have a report created, you won't need to create a new one. You would open the report that you want to change at this point. So in this case, we need to start by adding the additional pages. By default, the report pages only creates a page 1. To add the new pages, you're going to go to the Page Explorer, click Report Pages, drag Page Objects to the side. Each one of these pages, as you can see in the preview, is just a blank report. So that we can see better which page is in fact being rendered, I will add a simple text item object with the page number on each page. To do that, select your page, drag the text item, click and drag to the right. Type in your text. Now, if you run the report, you will see we have page 1, page 2, page 3, and that is it. So, from our example, the user did not want page 3 to render or to display when ran. So we'll go ahead and close this, and now what we need to do is create a render variable. The way that we do that is by navigating to the Condition Explorer tab, click Variables, and in our case we're going to call it a string variable. The expression definition will be no. In this case, we're only going to be using the variable to define pages that do not need to render. So having the value always be no satisfies our requirements. Once you have it in there, single quote, the value you want, and then an additional single quote. Click OK. I'm going to rename the string by going to the properties. And we'll call this do not render. If you cannot see this properties page, then you may enable it by selecting View, Toolbars, Panes, and verify that the properties box option is checked. As you can see, when it is unchecked, it does not display. Go to View, Panes, and check Properties. Now that we've got our variable created, we have to assign the values that we will be possibly outputting. Click the Add option, We will simply have no at this point. This value must be identical to what you entered into the do not render variable without the single quotes. So in this case, it will be no. Now we can return to the report pages. I will save the report, save it where you would like. If it's already created, I would recommend saving a new copy so that you do not overwrite your original until you are sure you're ready for it to go into a live or production environment. So I'm just going to call my report test, throw it in my samples folder, and now we've saved. The next step is to tell page 3 or to set the render variable for page 3, as we do not want that page to render. Click on the page. Again, if you're not on this, let's say you're in the page editing, you could get to that screen by clicking the page or highlighting, hovering over Page Explorer, click Report Pages, and then select the page you wish to change the properties on. In this case, page 3. In the Properties pane, there is the render variable. On the right, when you click, you will get the ellipses. Go ahead and click on it. Select our do not render variable from the drop-down, and we will uncheck the render for. And save. Now we run the report. Page 1, page down, and we have page 2, and page down and page 3. As you can see, I missed a step at somewhere since page 3 is still rendering. So we will repeat the steps and see where we missed something. The render variable, again, is going to be set to do not render. It will render for. It should not render for no. So when we uncheck this, this is where the problem occurred. Because we only created a no option, when we uncheck that, essentially it's saying that there is no value that defines the variable. So to fix that, we need to cancel out of here, go back to the Condition Explorer, and add an additional value. Click the Add icon, and we'll add yes. Click OK. Now, as you recall, this value is set to no, so it's always going to be no. In fact, we will never see a yes. Go back to page 3. Apologize. Go to Report Pages, click page 3. Under Render Variable, select the Do Not Render. As you can see, we now have both variable options. Now we will render for yes. And as you know, the value will never be yes, so the page should not render. Click OK. We will save and run. You get page 1, page 2, and that's the end. To see this a little more clearly, we will view it in PDF. As you can see, we only have 2 pages. Page 3 did not render. Now let's say we've completed our development on page 3 and we want it to render again. There are 2 options for this. We can go in and check the no, clear the yes. And as you can see, we have page 1, page 2, and page 3. So now we want page 1. We finished page 3, but we've identified some changes to be made to page 1. You can click the page 1, go to the properties page, click the render variable area, select the drop down, and we are only going to render for yes. Save and run. As you can see, the very first page is now page 2 because page 1 has been suppressed and will not render. Page 3 is also still there. So this is the end of my rendering page tutorial. Obviously there are many scenarios where this could get a lot more detailed, but for the sake of simplicity, we will stop here. Thank you for your time.